Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the DunnWisdom Morning Show. My name is Melissa P. Dunn. I am the CEO of MD Marketing Network and the founder of this DunnWisdom movement, as well as a candidate for Lauderhill City Commission seat number 2. I was out at the polls this morning, and I'm so happy to report that people are out willing to stand in line just to exercise their right to vote. So wherever you are in the United States, I urge you to vote today. All right. So it is Tuesday, y'all, and you know what that means. Listen, I am an avid reader, as you can tell from my background. And I know that there's never been any experience or anything that I want to learn that's not already in a book. And when I meet people who are doing the thing and sharing their experience, I have to bring them on the show. And so today in the My Success Book Club episode, we are actually making DunnWisdom Morning Show history. Now, y'all know the show is for women, by women, and of course, welcoming to men who love women and support women. So I've never really had a show with 2 male guests. And today, the work is so important, particularly in this day and age, I had to say yes. So I want you to give a very, very warm welcoming to our authors today. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Pleased to be here.
All right. So Michael and Jim, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to put up the name of your book so that folks can see it and know what it is that we're going to be talking about today. So y'all, you see me looking down. I don't have Miss Natasha running the boards for me today. So forgive me as I glance down on my computer every now and then. Look at that title. How important and how timely is this conversation today? So Michael, could you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes, it's a part of a series of books. I've been working for over a quarter of a century with people in trouble, families, individuals, couples. I come from a mixed background myself, and I wanted to be able to reach out and share my experiences that I've learned through patience, through scholastic training, through my own experiences, and write really comprehensible, simple, understandable, and practical books to help people, maybe some people listening today, to find their way out of a stuck position, especially a toxic relationship.
Toxic relationship. The thing that's sticking out for me with that title is the word narcissism. And I know 1 or 2 narcissists that's circling around in my space. So I'm eager to have that conversation. Jim, tell us about your role in the book.
I got the fortunate request to contribute a chapter to this book. And so as an ontological coach, which I thought was such a brilliant ask and request from Michael, and gracious as well. Just to be able to have a coach's perspective and a coach's offer, if you will, on this subject. And, a lot of times, when you go through, whether it's a toxic relationship or you're going through some trials and tribulations, it's important to not only get the mental health you need, but also, seek the assistance and support of a coach. And so the 2 are distinct, and I think it was a brilliant thing that he asked me to participate and contribute to this book. And I think that I take that as, a commitment on his part to really provide a comprehensive approach to narcissism and the experience around that, and to really gain freedom from that.
I love it. I want to dive into the definitions and what some of your recommendations are. But before I do, I want to say hello to my co-hosts and bring them on. Good morning, Miss Joy. Morning blessings to you. I so enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Oh, and look, I have it. Miss Joy gave this to me yesterday, you guys. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
All right, who do we have? Good morning, Mrs. Lopez. Good morning, Mommy. Thank you for watching. All right. Good morning, Claudine. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, she says, hi, Jim.
Hello.
By the way, you guys, Jim and I went to Ideal Coaching Global together. We were part of Gen 7. So thank you for joining us. All right, so let's dive in, gentlemen. Would you share what a narcissist is? What's the definition for narcissism?
There's two types of narcissism used in language. So let me make it simple. It actually took 3 years to edit the book to make it really comprehensible. So I'll try and do that with your question. An NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, is it's in the DSM-5. It first came out in 1980 in the DSM-3. It is where someone will build you up. They will charm you, they will hook you, and they will use you. They're a parasite. They will feed off of you. They rely upon codependents who are kind, loving, thoughtful, giving, and have very few boundaries and keep on taking bad behavior. The other type of narcissism used in language is when I have a head cold, nothing's right, nothing you can do for me will work. That's a different type of narcissism. But NPD is a vulgar, raw, rough, incredibly toxic relationship to be in. And what I want to say at this point, because I know we've got a lot to cover, is don't make any knee-jerk reactions listening to this broadcast. There's always a safe time to leave someone. There's always a safe time to consider what position am I really in, and is my partner really an NPD, or am I really a codependent? So bear that in mind. We have to be safe with this knowledge.
Gotcha. Jim, can you speak a little bit about the codependency? What is that exactly? How does one, or perhaps that's a more appropriate question for Michael, how do you know when you're in a codependent relationship?
We stay in an unhealthy relationship through fear, through loss of love, because we feel we're ugly, because we feel no one else will want us. When it gets to a pathological level, i.e. a really unhealthy level, if your partner drops a cup in the kitchen and blames you and you take blame for it, there's something wrong, especially if you go and then clean up the cup and apologize. An NPD, a narcissist, a true narcissist, will never apologize and never have remorse.
So they never take responsibility for what they do. And whatever happens, it's never their fault. It's always your fault, even when it's clear that they're the ones that's doing whatever that deed is.
However, there's one more secret to this. And that is the narcissist, the NPD, is very charming. And generally, the codependent in that unhealthy relationship feels very alone because family members, friends, etc. will say, oh, but they're lovely. No, oh, no, oh, come on, don't you think you're being a bit harsh, etc. And really, no, it's a living hell. It's a private hell. The NPD will also try and isolate the person, so they only go to places they want to go to, be with people they want to be with, and start to criticize or drop their friends in some way by saying, that person's not too good to you, or are you calling them again? It's a drip feed.
And they probably make you feel like you're crazy, right?
That's the gaslighting part. Do you want me to tell you about gaslighting?
Yes, please do.
Well, there's a movie made in the 50s called Gaslighting, and it's unusual because psychology took the term from Hollywood, and gaslighting is when you twist somebody so much. Firstly, you hook them by being charming, and then an NPD will twist the mind so the person doesn't really know what is real anymore. The behavior is so abhorrent, so awful, that the codependent is in love with this person, wants to please this person, wants to help this person, but never can get it right. And as soon as they feel they've got it right, the goalposts will change. And that's the hook. And you can never, ever win until you become a greystone, absorb it all, or you
Wow.
lose safely.
Jim, as an ontological coach, what kind of advice would you give a client who presented with this type of relationship?
Well, you know, in the book, you'll see that my chapter is a little bit in terms of distinct, in terms of allowing someone the reader who reads this book will be able to see what does a coach offer. And it really offers the distinctions, especially the ontological distinctions of responsibility and accountability and how that looks. And when one kind of lives in that blame space, you know, responsibility is very heavy. And what I want to present and what my aim was, you know, in my contribution in the chapter that I provided was, you know, to rethink responsibility as not as a burden, but more as generative and a place in which to stand, and to use accountability as its like best partner, to become not necessarily righteous, but more about effectiveness. And that's really, you know, what is, you know, the aim and the offer of, you know, the chapter that I provided in this book.
Right. So I get that's the perimeter of the chapter, but I want you to speak from the perspective of a coach, right? And let's say that you had a client who presented with this type of situation. How would you advise her? How would you guide her?
Well, I would first, you know, really talk into the distinction of whole, perfect, and complete, you know, because that really is essentially, and I wouldn't really steer them because I want to be very distinct with coaching and not be an advisor, because I definitely want their commitment about where they want to take their own, you know, time with me or time with a coach. So it's really about seeing what's possible, you know, and what are the distinctions to live into versus, you know, things that they used to live from. And that's really, you know, in terms of a coach, you know, that's the way that I would approach it. And that would be the container in which I would create with them, but a container from which they get to create, they get to choose, and, you know, allow them to have some distinctions that will be effective in their creation.
Okay, so for those who don't know what distinction means in the way that you're using it, I know that, you know, folks that are in the transformation world, they get it, but for those who don't, could you help us to understand that?
A distinction really is about, you know, really creating the framework and what your beliefs are. And so a lot of things in our lives can become collapsed. And so it really is about what does this mean to me, and how can this be more distinct, and really define that so that you can coordinate yourself, your life around it more so than, than just kind of living in this kind of collapsed pea soup or alphabet soup, if you will, of just, experiences, belief systems, and things that may not have been of your choice.
Got it. Got it. What's the main point? What's the main takeaway from the book, Michael?
Safety.
Wow, that's so powerful. Say that word again, safety. And in what context? Yeah.
Well, I know that our audience today is primarily women. Narcissism, codependency knows no boundaries. Grandparents listening to this, if your child or your grandchildren are abusing you in some way, if they are withholding from you, if you are doing things in fear of losing your children or grandchildren, and you're being treated really badly, you need to do something about it safely. If it's your parents, we have narcissistic parents, and you are the child or the grandchild of a narcissistic grandparent or parent, and you're doing things that really don't feel comfortable, or you're being put to ransom, it's unhealthy. But because you're kind and thoughtful and trying to fix things, maybe you keep on dropping that boundary and saying, I'm here again. I'll pick you up. I'll do what you need. Please don't hurt me. Nobody else will want me. If those kind of echoes are going on in your head, you need to do something about them. And in relationships, intimate relationships, romantic relationships, if you're unhappy for most of the time and you feel, I can't live without this person, and therefore I'm going to keep on morphing myself, changing myself into something else, you're probably in a very unhealthy relationship. So this is my arm, my arm of care to people that may not access therapy because they might not be able to afford it. They might not feel like they can do that because of their image. In addition to that, it might be that it would, they're scared. Codependents are really scared of their relationships and families and intimate partners. It took us 3 years to edit this book so that I had mild dyslexia.
Wow.
And so I really, when I write or when I do a show or when the BBC interview me, when I do that kind of thing, I do it very simply, very comprehensively. This book is very easy to read. So the main message from this book, and it's, as I said, it's part of a series, is read it, pick it up, give it to a friend. If something doesn't seem right in your life or the life of somebody you care about, reach out to them.
That's such a powerful statement, Michael. And I see that it's really connecting with the audience as well. Miss Joy just retyped the word safety in all caps.
Always.
It really lands. So could you perhaps give some suggestions? I know you're a psychologist by training as well, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So could you give us some tips? How does a woman or a man, for those men who are watching the show, how does someone set boundaries with a narcissist?
You can't. There's no treatment, there's no cure for a narcissist. And there's a link, and I'm going to give you the link very briefly because I know this we're limited on time. Pedophiles will have sex with underage children without remorse. The clinical definition is without remorse. So they don't learn from mistakes. They think it's okay. NPDs do what they do, domestic violence, without remorse. They don't learn from their mistakes. There's no way of them learning or changing. So you have to put boundaries in for yourself, and we can't change other people. So the boundaries for ourselves is to, and a bit of what Jim said, listen to the echo in your head, because we're trained throughout our life. Listen to what your self is telling you. The difference between animals and humans is that animals don't kid themselves. Humans, we kid ourselves through our training. We start to say, oh, that's fine, or I'll get over that, or I really like that, or, if you don't like salad, mayonnaise on your cheese sandwich, say I don't want it. But if the narcissist says, well, in actual fact, that's the only way to eat a cheese sandwich, you're going to have to find a safe way of changing that for yourself. And the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any domestic violence going on, be very careful, be very safe. Do not make a knee-jerk reaction. Consult with many of the agencies out there which are free of charge, or make a plan of exit to be safe for you. It's very important.
Yeah, and a plan is such a necessary thing. I heard you say earlier that one of the things that narcissists do is that they isolate you, right?
Correct.
And then on the outside in your family, people may be thinking, oh, this person is great, the perfect partner for you, but you're living in your own private hell.
Correct.
So is it possible? Well, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it is not possible to be in a healthy relationship with a narcissist. Is that
Correct.
is that an accurate assumption?
Correct, yes. The healthy way is to leave.
Right. Okay.
My calling in this, again, for your listeners, my calling in this has always been, I was going to be a priest as a teenager. I changed track when I was 14, but I kind of became a helper in some way with this line of work. But the lucky ones are people that find peace. They find that they can leave or they can change things up, and they find peace and security and safety. Unfortunately, I see people that may have lost their legs through an unfulfilled suicide, or they may have become paralyzed, or they may have accidentally hurt somebody else in a car because they jumped in front of it and they survived and people didn't. It can get really, really bad. In general, though, mild cases, people that aren't in a hopeless, locked down situation with a narcissist, just start to gently reach out to people. Find at least one person that may take you seriously. Don't talk about this over, washing up, washing the dishes, or just say, look, could I just have 15 minutes of your time where we can just sit and I can just share with you what I'm experiencing. Just have one ear to start off with, listen to you.
That's so important. I think a lot of times people may think that they're alone, right? That this is just happening to them. How prevalent do you think narcissism is in our society? Do you see a lot of your patients who exhibit this characteristic?
Well, the stats are 1% of the population. I think it's a Western world issue because it's developed from either an overprivileged childhood or an abusive childhood. I don't see narcissists. They've tried occasionally, but I've got the right who I see in my practice, and I choose to look after.
So the answer is no, you're not the right patient for me. I get it.
I look after the abused part of the relationship, whether that's a child, a parent, a grandparent, a partner, a husband, wife. And don't forget, this knows no boundaries.
Yeah.
LGBTQ, male, female, questioning, wherever you are, whatever age, wherever you are in the world, apart from it is a Western world issue, but it's prevalent everywhere. So I'd say I don't think it's about the population of codependents. The codependents are really, in a simple way, overkind people. They really are. And usually that they like to rescue people and make things better. And that kindness and beautiful, soulful things about a person are very dangerous in a narcissist's hands because they will suck them dry.
Right. Well, what if you're a codependent? What if you have a codependent type personality and you're not in a relationship with a narcissist?
Lucky you. Keep it that way. Find somebody nice. You don't have to rescue the world to be in love.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, you guys, I would love for you to consider getting this book. Take a look at it, particularly if you think that you may be in a narcissistic or a codependent type of relationship. You might find some tips and tools that will help you get to your safety. So yes, for sure. This is one of the things that I agree with 100%. You can't change people. Oh, there we go. You can't change people. So Tim, any final words of wisdom for our audience?
Yeah, you can't change other people. You have to, just live in full authorship, full choice, full agency. And I think that, a lot of people are experiencing, where do you have agency this year? And whether it's the conversation with a narcissist or a relationship or just in life in general, a lot of that has come up this year. And I think that, working with a coach, whether it's me or anyone else for that matter, is so crucial, I think now more than ever, is to really, walk into your power, walk into your effectiveness, because the world requires that. So if I could offer anybody that, really find that for yourself.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Hey, I know you have a program coming up. Do you want to talk about it briefly?
Sure. It's a 12-week program that starts November 2020 this year. So it's really about designing your life and really talking, really going into what I just said, and really going in full-fledged the rest of this year, 2021, with full agency, and really thinking about your life, and not from thinking about your life in terms of I want to do X, Y, Z, but also thinking about that and can I actually do that? Do I have the resources? Do I have the abilities? And if so, let's make it happen. And really thinking about your life in 3 parts: current and future, and what is the gap between that and what you want to do. So it's going to take some work, and my offer is that you guys join me for that, and design a beautiful 2021 for yourself.
Fantastic. So that's Jim's contact information there if you want to reach out to him directly. Michael, any final words of wisdom?
I hope I've helped. If I help one person by doing an interview, one person by writing a book, or one person consulting with, then I've done my job.
Fantastic. Hey, Sophia, I see you just jumped on. So good morning to you too, my friends. I hope you're staying dry in the South Florida weather today. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Some good stuff. I like the conversation.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Nice to be here.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you as well. All right, you guys, thank you for joining us for this Tuesday My Success Book Club edition of the DunnWisdom Morning Show. I want to remind you, my words of wisdom is for you to make sure that you get out and vote, and of course, volunteer for a campaign if you can. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back here tomorrow for another episode of the DunnWisdom Morning Show at 9 a.m. And I want to remind you, be kind and loving to yourself. You absolutely deserve it. Be well. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m.